I'm going all in on YouTube with a 90-day challenge to myself to post at least 3 videos a week for the next 90 days. And you might think that I would encourage you to do the same, but quite the opposite. For most people, this would be a really dumb challenge. Let me explain what I mean by that. But before I tell you about the challenge, I should probably introduce myself. My name's Andrea Nordling. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner and founder of The Profitable Nutritionist, where I have the absolute pleasure of helping holistic nutritionists and health coaches to start and grow hugely profitable businesses without relying on social media. So if that is of interest to you, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. All right, back to the 90-day challenge, because I know that that's what you really want to hear about. So why do I want to throw down the gauntlet to myself and do a 90-day challenge for posting on YouTube? Why in the world would I do that? Well, first of all, I would do that because I happen to know, as a longtime podcaster, and I'll get to that in a second, I happen to know that long form content is king. What does she mean by king? Okay, well, let me explain. For the last 3.5 years, I have had an audio podcast called The Profitable Nutritionist Podcast. And that's audio only, was not recording in video for the most part. Sometimes I would do interviews with clients or something on video that might get posted to this channel, but for the most part, this was audio only. And I have really enjoyed that format because I am free to record at 5 a.m. with a hot cup of coffee in my pajamas if I want to. And honestly, a lot of times I want to because I love to get some deep work done in the morning. That's my time of day. And I love not being on camera to do that. So audio podcast has been wonderful. It has also been really great for my business. And I know that that is the case because so many people that join either the Profitable Nutritionist program or my higher level mastermind tell me that the reason that they are joining is because they have listened to the podcast. Either they've been a longtime listener or they recently found it and binged a bunch of episodes, and they knew that they had to join the program after listening to the podcast. Okay. And the reason for that is because long form content, like a podcast, like YouTube videos like this, allows people to spend a lot of time with you. It allows them to really deeply understand your philosophies and your processes and the way that you think, the way that you coach, the way that you articulate ideas. And all of that is really important in a business like I have, where people find me online for the most part and will join an online program of mine to be coached by me in some format online. Okay. So spending time with me online and listening to the way that I do all of that is really important. I think that that is the case for most people. In 2025, it is no doubt the case that the more time people can spend with you before hiring you, the higher likelihood that they will hire you. In fact, Google has given us the stat that for purchasing decisions, I don't know all of the nuances around this, but 7 hours is what sticks out in my mind. Google has said that with all of the data that this huge search engine, number 1 search engine in the world, that also owns YouTube, which is the number 2 search engine in the world, with all of the data that they have collected, they can see that 7 hours on average is the amount of time that somebody will spend consuming content before making a purchasing move. Okay, so that's a lot of time. 7 hours is a lot of time. And I think that we can get to 7 hours pretty quickly if we have a bank of long form content, which I know from having an audio podcast now for 170 some episodes, and also just knowing when people join my programs that they say, yep, this is how this is why I'm joining, is because I align with everything in the podcast. I know it's going to be a perfect fit. That makes for a better client experience. It makes for a better program experience, to be honest, because people are really invested and they really understand the way that the program is going to work before they make a purchasing decision, which is great for all of us. So I already know that from the audio version of the podcast. And I also know from having an audio podcast for years and years now that audio podcasts don't grow very quickly. Okay, you have your really loyal listeners, you have your loyal subscribers that every single week when new episodes are dropping, they're downloading, they're listening. But really the only way that the podcast grows, an audio podcast, not the only way, but primarily it grows from word of mouth. So my podcast has steadily grown from word of mouth over the years, but it isn't massive. It's not, a lot of people don't go on to Apple Podcasts and search in a topic that they're interested in and try to find podcasts about that topic. Some people do, and it's great when they do, but by and large, that's not really how people get introduced to podcasts. It's by word of mouth, or they see it somewhere, right? Or it's a brand that they already were familiar with and they subscribe to that podcast. So the growth of an audio podcast organically is not super huge. So marrying the content, the long form content, and what I'm already creating there with video on YouTube, which is highly searchable and highly discoverable on the second largest search engine in the world, is a logical next step. just going to help more people to find the podcast and to find my videos and to spend 7 hours with me. So here we are doing a 90-day YouTube challenge. I also know that if I make this challenge video and I explain what I'm doing here on YouTube and I explain why I'm doing it, it's going to be helpful for you in terms of taking imperfect action to do something that your brain is having a lot of resistance on, because I'm going to tell you that my brain is having a lot of resistance about making this video and launching YouTube videos as part of a content strategy for my business. And I'll talk about that in a second. So take heart that somewhere in your business, you're probably in a similar situation where there's something that you know you need to be doing that would be really good for your business, and you're having some resistance to it, and that's okay. It's totally normal. We can work through it. I'm actively working through it right now as I make this video for you. So that's part of it, but there's some accountability that I will actually follow through with creating these videos when I post this video that says I'm going to do it. And I got this idea actually from reading a book that documented the rise of Mr. Beast. So if you're not familiar with Mr. Beast, I'm going to give you a little story here. The creator of Mr. Beast, his name is Jimmy. He started filming YouTube videos when he was 17 years old. And he was, so the story in the book that I read said that he was procrastinating studying for a test, and it was late at night and he should have been studying for a test, but instead he got out a camera and he recorded, 4 videos to his future self. And so if you don't know the story, Mr. Beast is the biggest YouTuber on the planet, arguably, and is very famous and has done incredible things with YouTube. So but from humble beginnings, started with these 4 videos. And so he recorded these videos to his future self. In 6 months, his future self, a year from that point when he was 17 years old, 5 years in the future, and then 10 years in the future. And so in the video, it was 2 minutes long, and he's like, hey, future Jimmy, I hope that you're at blah, blah, blah point. I hope you have this many subscribers. I hope YouTube is doing this for you, and your life looks like this. And he kind of gave what milestones he was hoping to have achieved at those various points in the future. And then he scheduled the videos to post at those intervals. So the 6-month video, the 1-year video, the 5-year videos, those have all happened. 10-year video is shortly going to be publishing. And I just was kind of mind blown by that I want to say forethought, but maybe it's not forethought. I don't know. Maybe people are successful because of that kind of accountability, or maybe he would have been anyway, and we just get to see it in real time. But as I was reading that story and as I was thinking about that, I'm like, I should really do something like that and make myself accountable in this 90-day challenge. So here's the video. Here's my accountability to myself, most of all, that 3 videos are going to be hitting this channel brand new off the press for you per week over the next 12 weeks. So I said earlier that I don't think that this is for everyone. I don't think that most people that are watching this video should go start a YouTube channel and start recording YouTube videos. And that's because there's a learning curve here, and it could be a huge waste of time for most people. So I will get into that in a second. I'm going to be giving you my whole list of cons for YouTube. I already told you here's the list of pros, but the list of cons is pretty lengthy too. So my brain really focused on this list of cons and did an excellent job of stalling the release of these videos, and for me even recording this. So I think that this is so fun because it is a concept that I teach in all of my programs and that I talk about a lot. So if you have been a listener to the audio podcast, you would know this. If you're new here and are just watching this video and trying to figure out what the heck is she talking about, let me introduce you to a concept called imperfect action. And if you are anything like me and most of the clients I work with, your brain probably really resists imperfect action. Okay? It wants things to be perfect. It wants to do all of the researching. It wants to know every nuance of every potential situation. It wants to know 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what is this going to look like? Are we making the right choice to make sure that all the stars are going to align and everything's always going to be perfect? Do we look good? Does it sound good? Is it professional enough? All of these things, right? We all have our own brand of this perfectionism. But even if you don't really identify as a perfectionist, in business, we can really get into this trap of wanting everything to be perfect before we take action, hence needing to take imperfect action. So I talk about imperfect action all the time, and I coach my clients on imperfect action all the time. And I'm going to give you a resource for imperfect action at the end of this video, so stay tuned. But all that to say that I have just been laughing at myself as I watched my brain be very, very resistant to taking imperfect action and recording this video and popping it out for you and getting the channel ready and figuring out what the next 10 videos are going to be and starting to record them, my brain has had an absolute tantrum about this. And to be honest, getting YouTube video production going has been on my to-do list or on my things that I should be prioritizing list for like 2 years, maybe even 3 years. So it's not like this is a brand new idea that I just had. This is something that has been marinating and I have been really resistant to doing because I wanted the videos to be perfect. I want the setup to be perfect. I want the content to be just right. I want that to be perfect. I want the behind the scenes with who's editing and like how the video production process is going. I want that to be perfect. Like just all of the things, our brains can be very compelling in all of the reasons why the time isn't right to do the thing, which is what I coach on all the time. So basically, I wanted it to be perfect before I got to work on this YouTube channel and on the first YouTube videos, which is exactly the opposite of what I teach to my clients in my programs. It's the exact opposite of what I know gets results. It's the exact opposite of how I launched the first version of the podcast, audio version, in October of 2021. It's the exact opposite of how I launched my businesses. This is actually my third business at this point. It's the exact opposite of what gets results. And it has been wild to watch my brain to do this. So let's get into why I don't think this is a good plan for most people, because now I just kind of am talking out of both sides of my mouth. I just told you, take imperfect action. That's what I coach on. And also YouTube might not be for you. So real talk here, YouTube video production does have a steep learning curve, okay? To get your videos to be seen by your ideal client, you have to have some knowledge about how this platform works and about how video content should be structured for best practices in general. And there's just a little bit of a learning curve. Do I think that you can do it? Of course I do. I have nothing special here to be figuring this out myself. I just know that for a lot of the clients that I work with, they don't know their audience well enough to really know what to create videos about. And so if that's you, if you're like, gosh, I don't know who my easiest client is for sure. I'm not exactly sure what their problems are or how they would describe those problems or what solutions they're looking for on YouTube to find. If you don't know that because you just haven't worked with enough clients yet or you're just newer in business, it's not going to be a great use of your time to try to create long form content in the form of YouTube videos. It just wouldn't be a great idea. We have other ways that you can experiment with your messaging, and especially online. There's so many things you can do, and I'll do many more videos about that, and that's what I teach in my programs too. But just know that a really high production YouTube video and all of the complexity that comes with creating that and understanding the platform and understanding video creation, that's not the place to start, okay? Definitely not the place to start. So rather than suggesting that you waste hundreds of hours trying to learn YouTube instead of figuring out your audience's problems and the solutions that they're looking for and the results that they're really hoping that they can get when they work with you, I'm not going to tell you to make that video. Your brain probably would love to spend hundreds of hours learning YouTube strategy. I know mine does. Loves to get into research mode, loves to do that type of task. It feels very productive. It feels like we're moving forward, but we're not actually doing anything. We call this passive action versus massive action. My brain, your brain, all of our brains would love to do the passive action instead of the massive action. And so I'm not going to offer that YouTube is a good use of that time because I think that it could be too big of a rabbit hole to go down for most people. Also, this is a long game, okay? Video production on YouTube is a long game. You're going to need months. I'm anticipating I'm probably going to need years of creating videos on YouTube before I feel like I kind of get what I'm doing here. Lots of reps. I know this from making podcast episodes for years and years now. At the beginning, it was a lot harder to do. I didn't understand the process. I had to just get in there and I had to do it messy and imperfectly, which is what I teach, to get to the point where I'm like, now I can just crank out a podcast episode with very little prep and very little mistakes and any of that. But in the beginning, that wasn't the case. I know that the same will be true for YouTube. It's going to take quite a while to really see results here and feel like I kind of am in the groove. And I have the luxury of that time because I do have a successful business that's cranking along. I know a lot about my easiest clients already. I know what their problems are. I know how I solve them. So I really have a leg up in creating the content. And that's why I wanted to preface this video by saying, I'm doing this 90-day challenge to myself on YouTube, but I don't think YouTube is the place for most people to be doing a challenge like this to themselves. Okay, so what could it look like for you to do a 90-day challenge where you take imperfect action before you feel like you're ready and before you feel like it's perfect, but you don't make it so hard on yourself that you have to actually create high quality video content to do it? Well, I don't know what that looks like for you, but I challenge you to do it right along with me. What could you do 3 times a week, 5 times a week, 10 times a week? I don't know what your challenge will be for yourself or how often you would do it, but what could your challenge be for the next 90 days that is just like a scary thing that you don't want to do, but you're going to do it for the next 3 months? Because I will tell you something that I know from 20 plus years as a business owner, but I have seen it play out with hundreds and hundreds, probably by this point more than 1,000 wellness business owners, is that it's just doing the things consistently that get the results. It really doesn't even matter what you're doing. I mean, it really doesn't. Just do something and get over yourself and do it imperfectly and get your brain on board and past the resistance of the fact that we're just going to do this, even if it's not going to be perfect and we know it's going to be messy. We know it's probably not even going to work and we're going to do it anyway. And that's when things work. Okay. So just an aside there. If you want to do a 90-day challenge for yourself and you know, video content on YouTube is not the move for me, perfect. If video content is the move for you though, you would know that because you know who your easiest client is and you know what problems you solve for them. That could be you, at which point then let's go. The faster you can get over any resistance that you have and start making long form content for your people, the better. Because it is going to make you get so clear on how you explain things. Your messaging is going to get so much more dialed in the more opportunity you give yourself to talk through what you think and why you think it. I know this from podcasting now for years. I got really good at explaining complex ideas that I had and like problems that I could see people were having and how I was helping them solve them, and putting that into a format where people can understand and where I can get my ideas clearly communicated, or at least I hope somewhat clearly communicated to my audience, is something I'm a lot better at now because I put in the reps and I've done it. And so I think if you are at that point and you're willing to do it, this would be a great challenge for you actually to take that to YouTube and make some YouTube videos, because long form content is so great, but also YouTube is the place for people to discover that long form content of yours, get to know you, spend 7 hours together. Hopefully not that long, but it could be, and that'd be fine because you have plenty of long form content on your channel, and then they can make a purchasing decision to move forward and work with you. So I do think it's super effective. I do think that the trend that we have seen and will continue to see, in my opinion, is that short form content like TikTok content and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts even, that is a very different content strategy that is not suitable for the type of business that you have if you are my easiest client, and I bet that you are, which means that you are a health and wellness professional that works with clients directly. You either sell them a product or you work with them one-on-one, and at that point you're selling your service. So if you're selling services or products directly to clients, you're probably not needing to have hundreds of thousands of views on a short form piece of content, for example, to get enough leads to fuel your practice and have a very, very profitable practice and business. And the businesses that have a strategy for making short form content are really just trying to get as many impressions as possible. I'm kind of simplifying this, but the way I think about it is short form content is getting a dopamine hit really fast. Okay. It's like getting you in, it's 60 seconds or less. It is like boom, 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 dopamine, dopamine, dopamine. That is a very different strategy than spending 7 hours in long form content with somebody, explaining to them the nuanced opinions that you have and the philosophies that you have and the processes that you have and how you approach a certain problem differently than other people do or other solutions, or just it's so much different. And so for that reason, I guess this is kind of an aside, but for that reason, I don't intend to make any short form content. I know that some people would say to do that because it can get a lot of followers, it could get a lot of subscribers probably on this channel or on other channels. I'm not on other social media channels anyway, but for all of those reasons, I'm not even sure if there's a point there to be made other than there's a different strategy there. And also I'll follow up with, my opinion is that there is a different type of buyer that is attracted by those different strategies. So I guess this is the point I really want to make. Long form content that isn't highly edited, like this video isn't, that doesn't have what's called retention editing, which is like a bunch of sound effects and a bunch of changing B-roll and like things that are supposed to retain you and keep the dopamine, flashing in your brain so that you keep watching the video. When you don't have that, really the only people that are going to watch this video, and that's obviously you if you're still watching right now, somebody that is interested in the outcome. They want to know, how do I do this for myself, and are really probably a good candidate to be a client or a buyer at some point in the future. So for all of those reasons, it could be a good idea for some people that are watching this video, I imagine, to spend some time figuring out, how do I create long form content like that? How could I get ready to make some imperfect videos and post them to YouTube, and maybe do a 90-day challenge and know that I'll get better as I post more, and that it's never going to be perfect. I say this to myself as much as anyone. It's never going to be perfect until you actually put in the reps and do it, and then it will be a lot better. So if you know who your easiest client is and what problems you solve for them, it actually might be a great idea for you. If you don't, by the way, this is exactly what we do in the Profitable Nutritionist program. So if you've made less than $50,000 a year in your nutrition or health coaching or wellness business up to this point, look in the description for a link to join the Profitable Nutritionist program, because we're going to get you there. That's exactly what we do in the program. If you have the bandwidth to record consistently, it might also be a good idea for you to be considering creating long-form content in your marketing strategy. And again, I started this video and I almost just can't help but make the disclaimer right now that you don't need to make content in your business to get clients and have a really successful, profitable business. I work with so many wellness business owners that don't even have a website. Their whole business is referral based. They make a lot of money. They help a lot of people, and they love it, and they want it to be that way. But I also work with people who, like me, attract an online audience and serve them online and want to have more of an online presence, because I like that stuff. I like that part of it. And I think it's really cool in 2025 that we can do this. We can reach the exact people that we want all over the world, like our perfect people. I think that is so cool. So anyway, if you have the bandwidth to do it and to add it to your plate, this content strategy, which could be kind of cumbersome depending on how much production value you put towards videos or an audio podcast or any type of consistent content creation, then it might be for you. I do think that YouTube video creation is like the king. I've said that before, but it's like the king of all content creation, because it is so discoverable. It is so searchable. You will have so many people that find your content that probably otherwise wouldn't have. And also because it is so evergreen. So for a long time, your content on YouTube will be valuable and will be relevant and will just continue to get more valuable over time. So for all of those reasons, I do think that it's a great strategy, obviously, which is why I have getting over all of my resistance and recording this video for you right now. But it might be for you as well if you have the bandwidth to consistently record videos, to create the content. And it's not just recording, it's figuring out what you're going to talk about, outlining the content, then actually recording it, then the production behind the scenes to make the video that gets uploaded. You know, to do that, probably something else on your to-do list has to go to make room for it. This is what we do in my higher level mastermind, by the way. We prioritize what things need to go or get delegated to make room for bigger projects. So I guess I'll just make another call to action here. If you are making over $50,000 a year, we also have a link for the mastermind waitlist in the description of this video, so you can go check that out. Anyway, if you have the bandwidth, if you have your audience dialed in, you know exactly who you serve and how you help them and what problems you solve and what results they get when they work with you. And if you also have the patience to do something consistently without seeing results for an extended period of time, this could be a good move for you. All right. I say that because I think that it's really important to go into any big endeavor, like a new content platform or like a new lead generation stream, which I guess ultimately YouTube videos is both of those things. Going into that with no expectations that you're going to get results right away, which is hard for us to do because we want to know that there's going to be an ROI on that time, for goodness sake. And if you're spending money on somebody editing videos and all of that, which I highly suggest you do, then yeah, you want to get that ROI. You want to know that was the right choice. It's working. Give me validation. And I have learned over the course of the last 20 years and also helping a lot of people do the same thing in my coaching programs that we don't usually get that. It usually has to be for an extended period of time, much longer than we think it's going to be to see the results that we want to see. So are you willing to do that? Are you willing to do it consistently without seeing results right away? I mean, know thyself. I happen to be, so here I am recording this video, but I just would, offer that would be a good mindset to go into any new thing in your business with. Am I willing to keep doing this even if I don't get results right away? Okay, lastly, do you have a profit margin in your business to support hiring contractors to help with video production if you are considering getting on YouTube and creating long form content so you can rack up 7 hours with your people. If you're thinking of doing that, you got to have a video editor. I mean, do you actually have to? No, you could edit your own videos, but your time is so much better spent on the things that only you can do in your business. Again, this is something I coach on quite a bit in the Streamline and Scale Mastermind, but I just can't in good conscience have you also learning how to edit videos and the time that would be taking, because you can so inexpensively have someone that's really good at video editing to do that for you. So do you have the space for that? Do you have the profit margin for that? Something to ask yourself, okay? So all that to say, I am making this challenge to myself to publish 3 videos a week for the next 3 months straight so I can get better at making videos. I have already said this, but I'll say it again. It's new for me to do this. I've done a lot of video creation in my career. I have consistently created content for, oh my goodness, almost 10 years at this point online in various ways. So that part isn't new for me, but YouTube, the processes of, figuring out what topics to talk about that are probably going to be most relevant to a YouTube audience, how to make video thumbnails or create, there's a lot that goes into it, right? All of this is new for me. I know that I'm going to feel like these first videos are absolutely terrible, and I'm kind of excited about that. I'm going to be honest that the point of doing this challenge is just to rip off the Band-Aid, make the videos, be accountable publicly and say, hey, this is what you can look forward to. And also, I know that these videos aren't going to be great. I hope that I can look back at these first videos a year from now and just cringe, because that means that I will have learned a lot and improved a lot, and that is definitely the goal. Imperfect action all the way. So I'm going to be sharing what I'm learning along the way with some check-in videos on the challenge as I go. By the way, I'm going to be evaluating and showing you the metrics and showing you what is working and what isn't working with the YouTube strategy as we go, because I think that this is kind of an interesting opportunity for me to just really be kind of real and transparent about the imperfect action. That's honestly the challenge. 3 months of imperfect action, 3 videos a week for 90 days straight. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel to follow along with this whole journey. And if you want to continue with this theme of imperfect action, I want you to watch this video next, where my client Kristen shares how she very imperfectly made $8,000 in her first month of business as a functional nutritionist.